Well, that clock's not quite right, but, all right, let's start the meeting. Page 57. Call to order, roll call, please.
Ferrari,
Off to a good start.
back in Mexico. Ferrari,
Here.
Ico,
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Close.
Here.
Crowley, here. Moreau.
Here.
Stillman. Here. Bentley.
Here.
Montalban. Fuller.
Here.
Captain.
Here.
Okay, thanks. The meeting, the minutes from the January 10th meeting have been distributed. Were there any changes or amendments? Hearing none, they are approved as submitted. I have no report. There's no correspondence or announcements. Residents forum, I'm not aware of any residents. Mr. Bentley.
Okay, just a couple things on, the pond liner for, the Creekside Creekside Golf Course. That's gonna go through, this year of just being researched to see what has to be done, and nothing will probably be happening on that till next year. That'll be done during the winter time, so it won't affect the golf course a whole bunch. But I can't really elaborate on it because I really don't know what is the analysis of what is happening with the pond. But that's coming up next year. Bridges, we're still, that's late this year, maybe into next year before that you're gonna see construction on that. We're still in process with the 5 different agencies for the newts and the grass and everything else that we have to go through to figure out what we can do with the 2 bridges, and that's gonna be on Creekside, affecting 6 and crossing over to 7. And, there will be some workaround for our golfers to continue golfing while that's being done, but that is the 2 bridges that they're gonna be looking at doing. And
They're gonna do one at a time,
I believe they're gonna do one at a time.
yeah,
so that people could still cross.
Yeah, because I mean, usually when they do those projects, they'll do like,
Yeah, I really think they may, sorry, but I think they may just do them together because on 6, we can cross the first bridge while they're working on the second one. And that means they'll be on grass, but that's fine. So we can use the first bridge on 6 twice, and they're gonna put a temporary bridge on 7,
Oh, temporary.
is what I understand.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
how we
the
left.
thing
it,
is like, we're
so.
quite a ways from coming up with that plan.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, 'cause there's just there's a bit more environmental stuff that's.
I guess the
Yeah,
answer,
the
it could be
agency-
done together, but it doesn't, you
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like, a lot of the time, there's a certain point we say,
Yeah.
okay, Mark, you're getting close to good
Yeah.
time, what's the
What we
date?
do,
How do you
yeah.
do it?
We certainly could do it. I don't know if we will.
Okay.
The report in the newspaper that I've seen several times now says that the work on the bridges is contingent upon the money being available. Some money being available or
Well,
something.
So let me explain kind of what's happening globally. So everyone knows that we're doing a transfer of our migration into NetSuite, our whole new, and its financial and everything else operating system. So as they're going through that, like, we're still a little bit delayed in getting like the year closed for last year and then the monthly, and we're kind of coming up on hopefully having a quarter close. And so we know that there's funds available, but there's ways that the board wants to have things stored in reserves and whatnot. What we need to do is you really don't want to commit to schedules until you really know what that known hard figure is for what the biggest chunk of expenditure is going to be. So we should have our permit from the city within the next 2 months. We're going to the planning commission on March 27th. And so once we bid that out, we'll have a lot of knowns. So we will be caught up with the financial truing up where we are. We'll know what the expenditures are moving forward. The thing is, there's work that's gonna take us into the summer anyway, with all the work we need to finish what the design is for the bridges. So we're not really delaying it, but they're gonna delay the decision. But that is true of any project, just so you know, like they're really, I mean, the planning committee, they put staff through the rigors, like they want to make sure that the funding is available, even if they're not the finance committee, before they approve it.
and the funding that we put in there is just it's an earmark.
Yep.
Because we don't know what the real number is. It's an earmark number and it could come in less or it could come in more. We don't know, but And not until the time that they get the final designs down and what they're gonna be doing. I don't see, even though working on the bridges, I don't see any real problem with golf. Still being able to play because of what they're gonna be doing for access and going across. It's gonna be, that won't be affected, but this is our first 2 of 9 that we're looking at. And this is the biggest thing to go through, is all the hurdles for this. As we go down the line, we'll already have people in place for all the other bridges that we're looking at. They'll probably go better. The project scope could be, I don't know how many years, but it's a long time. These are the 2 that are the worst situation that we have to take care of. And then we're gonna take over the next one and the next one as they go through both Creekside and Dollar.
Well, it's because of that very fact that my eyebrows went up when I read that article. It made it sound like it's really not a done deal that we're gonna do them. Because the money needs to be.
No.
No,
No,
no.
it's,
Worded.
okay.
Worded in my opinion.
The capital budget's been accepted with a number in there for that to be done. It's already been accepted, so it's just that
It's the cash flow.
it can't be finalized until it goes to the finance committee, even though the finance committee all the time in the back of their head says, we have to spend this amount of money. Then when we get the final number, then we can analyze it and say, okay, here's what we're gonna be spending.
But perhaps maybe the wording at the next iteration that comes out in the newspaper could be a little bit more clear with that. Especially since the second bridge on 6 is getting close. That land is disappearing very quickly.
The land and the bridge is cracked too. So that's why those are the 2 most important bridges. That's why we started there. And then we have other ones that are creating other problems through the golf course, but we'll pick those. So it won't be like just working through the whole up the valley. It's going to be working piecemeal through the valley as to what is the next worst bridge that we got to work on. Okay, but it's over, of course, it's going to be a conversation for golf for a long time, because we are, I'll be announcing bridges for a while, at least 2.5 years. I'm still on board. Okay, pickleball is moving along. As Dan said at the planning meeting, everything is looking like it's gonna, everything is looking like it's gonna go through all the, we're doing everything that they have asked of us to do. And I'm really not anticipating that there is going to be anything that is going to be unsurmountable, that we can't come to a conclusion at that time for the planning committee to pass it on through. At the planning meeting, we did approve for the general manager to work a contract for the water line, which is the first thing that'll be done. He is going to be getting that contract going, and Ann's going to be involved on that. And Mark, so that when that process starts is really the process for everything else, but the water line has to be moved first. And as far as timing on that, it depends on the bids that come back and everything that starts happening, and we get all our ducks in a row, and then there'll be probably another meeting before then, or 2, before we can, and we'll have a lot more detail on timing on when things are going to happen. As it's looking right now, it's minimal disruption to the golf course. Although there probably will be a fence up there, down that one side on the 18, while they're, between us and the construction people. And so that is something that we'll have to deal with, but I don't have any more than that on there, unless you wanted to add something to that.
No, I just, because it's a conversation we were having after the meeting, and let's discuss if I'm missing stuff. So one of the things that's really important, to kind of understand in the sequence of things, there's things you don't know until you have certain information. So for instance, what is that area of impact? And they call it a disruption plan. I don't like, because it sounds like that's a hard stop to play. In every scenario that we have right now, it seems that what the impact is going to be to the bunker, right? It's to the bunker. Now, what we need to do is we need to get, so the first phase, right, is this irrigation line move. So we need to get the design to understand what that plan is. The contractor has said they believe they can do a switch over in a couple of days, which is different, right, than a conversation that they had with Blake. So until they actually have the specific plan and there's a bid on it, you don't know what that is. Based on that information, we'll say, oh, heck no, we're not gonna cut the water off for 2 weeks when there's no rain. And then we have to like kind of sequence everything, because of that. So this project really dictates a lot of the sequence and timing of everything else that happens with pickleball. So understand that we know that, we understand the significance of this asset of the golf course, and it will not get compromised. We don't want to compromise one for the other. So, so just understand that a little bit. When it does come to talking about those, the disruption plan and how things are fenced off or whatnot, Mark has to be a part of that. But those conversations don't happen until you have the contractor, because the contractor has to say the sphere that they need in order to operate safely. And if they say they need 20 feet, you can't say you're gonna do it in 5, or else we're taking the liability for all of their workers and whatnot. So, but that stuff usually is done in cooperation. Same thing for laydown yards, like where they're gonna put equipment, materials and all that. We already use that space and have to do like juggling between GRF landscaping and the golf course. So now we're gonna have another player in there. So there's lots of coordination that needs to happen. And I've said this before, there's not one program that has a better advocate than you have in Mark for golf, so.
Oh, thank you for that. But I mean, one of the things, the pluses right now is we are talking to good people. The people that are doing the planning right now are Mitchell. Mitchell's the one that did our irrigation system, put in the whole irrigation system over 15 years ago on both golf courses. So he's intimately involved with how water moves in this valley as far as the golf course and where all the lines are. So him being on the planning part is extremely important. The other thing we've reached out to is Brett, who does a lot of the work in the valley for us on the golf course. He would be the one at this point, if he's available, to move the line. Also very important because he's moved the main line twice before in the last several years. Not this big a project, but he has done it in certain areas. It just so happens this particular point is a crucial point. So it has to be moved correctly because we do not want to have any problems on the other end of the project. So, but there are good people who may be available to help us with this, and that's critical.
The comments I was making, that Ian was referring to earlier, after the meeting yesterday, it had to do with several things. One, we have full confidence in Mark and Blake to be the stewards of what's going on at that juncture with the moving of the line. We don't think it's going to be so disruptive that it's going to be impossible. And if it is something that's going to be more, Mark has already indicated that there will be some possibilities to work around it with shortening the course, putting a temporary green, whatever that may be, it's going to be. It has to be done. The other part of it that I was concerned about is, in fact, the impact during the construction of the pickleball court itself. And that has to do with the staging areas as you just described. Plus, I know from my experience, it rarely happens, but balls do wander in that direction. So perhaps in the proposal to the contractors, you may want to mention the fact that the golf course is in full operation during the construction of their.
It's actually good.
Yeah, and maybe they want to consider putting in a golf fencing, a netting or something up there. Yesterday, the woman that was on the committee, I don't know her name, she was across from you guys on the other side of the table. Anyway, she
was Maxine, yeah.
She asked me a question, and I looked at it, she says, what happens if a ball, hits the concrete enclosure of the pickleball court and bounces back onto the course? What happens to that ball? I mean, okay.
You have to change it. Yeah, right.
Well, let the rules will go. Anyway, she didn't admit she's not a golfer, so she didn't know. She was curious. But that opened up my mind to the fact that, well, during construction, I may have a bunch of hard hats running around. And like I said before, rarely does a ball go that far to the right-hand side into the area where the new building is going to be built. But there are people who are going to be working around it.
Yeah.
So speak for yourself, right? And so anyway, that's my point about making sure that the contractor understands that, so there's no
Yeah,
after the fact, oh my God, I didn't realize I had to put a fence there, or I had to protect my people there.
Would
That's
they-
right.
Get going in.
would there be an actual fence? Would that be part of the RFP that they have to put a fence?
yeah.
I think they fence off
They
all
fence.
construction, you know, so I don't know what the fence is, but I think they fence off all construction sites, you know, just,
Usually they
just for safety. Yeah,
I would think it'll be a cyclone on the part.
yeah, it's just for safety. You don't want anybody wandering in there and falling in, you know, falling over, tripping over something or.
Right,
To see if they can do.
okay,
Anyway.
all right.
That's-
And then the last thing I have, which I think is interesting for everybody here, because the clubs are so big, is our news, we just went into a contract with, Synergy, a new contract. Their first contract was evaluating what the, community would like to see in restaurants. So that involved the whole community. It involved a gateway area. It involved what if somebody would like to see something up in the hillside area, and the type of amenities. It did not involve Creekside, yeah, as a restaurant. And so but it involved, what do you want? That's what the mission of the first study was. So we could figure out what is the scope of the restaurant project that will be going on for the next couple of years, you know, to be able to do everything. So now we just entered into the next phase of it, and that is to look at Creekside specifically. The lease in Creekside comes up on the 31st of December. And before then, we would like to be able to get the information that we want from the people and from Synergy as what is the best use of that particular facility. And then they're going to draft up a new lease agreement, and then as they'll put out to bid, including Stan can bid for it, everybody can bid for this. And be able to perform the needs that we have to do for Rossmar or for Creekside. So it's specific for Creekside. So that kind of ties in golf with 800 members showing up. And, you know, I walk my dogs here at 7 a.m. and there's a lot of golfers that are already getting ready to go out. Maybe there's some needs, coffee, pastries, something like this. What would you need? After you play golf, these guys are getting off at noon. Is there something that they would like to see? And women getting, you know, maybe something that they would like to see in the restaurant for them. So it's a great opportunity to voice what you would like to see as a group for this. And it would be, you know, I don't know what the concept is going to be. They're going to come back with a concept. There's going to be some back and forth in what we're done, but it could be better utilization of the whole property that we have here for the restaurant. So, so that is coming up. We have not signed the papers yet, but we have okayed for Jeff to enter in a contract with them for our second phase. And this, we would, ideally, if everything goes right, they're looking for an RFP, that is the bid piece of it to go out, by July, right, end of June or sometime in June.
Nick,
So,
If I could, and so
Sure.
and so the real difference between where we're headed and what the agreement is now, and whether Stan, again, is a successful proposal or different. And by the way, we've talked to Stan about this, and he is going to engage in the process. Probably put a proposal in. Right now, we have somebody that operates our space. It's a lease agreement, right? So they take their business model, they put it into that space. And quite honestly, like, he has been super responsive, like he knows his audience, the people that love Creekside, you know, he caters to them and whatnot. But what this did is it took like that bigger survey of the community on how people want to see food service expanded. And so the next agreement isn't going to be a lease as much as it will be an operating agreement. So we're looking for an operating partner. So what that does is, and it alludes to what Ted is talking about, some of those things in the operating agreement will be to, you know, address certain, you know, like we have these really focused markets, like again, the Creekside is the golf courses recreation facility. And there's lots of missed opportunities. And I think a real entrepreneurial person, they'll see the opportunity. Oh, I can build that with GRF. So we can see changes in service and better food service delivery that's different than just a sit down restaurant perhaps.
So it could include actually changing the spaces also.
It could, yeah, it could. And so what we're trying to do, and there's one of the items of scope has to do with like concept. And it's also about the like generally how that sequencing can work. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to disrupt and be without food service, right? But we do want to make sure that we can figure out what are the short-term changes and then the long-term vision. And some of these things I think about like the types of food and whatnot are kind of short-term wins. And so there will be an expectation, which really isn't there right now, about the food operator to work with us to make sure that we're designing food service that serves the different communities.
So you want input from the golf community?
It will be
Right
part
now.
of the process, not right now. And that's why I really want to
Yeah.
manage the expectation.
Hmm?
Because I really want to manage the expectation. I love Ted's excitement and I love his expertise, right? So he's like a really great person just to make sure that we're gonna be, unfolding it this way. I want to manage the expectations though. We really can't be asking for that until we get the operator. But we need to figure out with synergy, what is that gonna look like in the operating agreement to make sure that we have that. So it should, so hopefully.
So don't you need to know that before you go to an RFP?
No, because what I will say is they already know about the golf community. In that first phase, which they were trying to understand the capacity, the business opportunities, they were evaluating all of that. And they did through stakeholder groups, they understand there's a certain missed opportunity with golf. And so as we start talking about what the concepts are, it's what that looks like is a little bit different, but what we're not doing is a whole new design thing. We have like two months to get the RFP written, to start putting it out to find a partner. So we want to make sure in that it talks about the person has to work with us as an operating partner to satisfy the needs of the golf community. How specific that is, we don't want to get too specific because we want them, like they have to have a stake in it. Right? Because it's a business. for
Well,
them.
at what point do you start talking about, yes, we want somebody there to have breakfast at 7 o'clock? We want somebody to have on course.
Again, it's
Is that afterwards?
It's after. It's after. Right now, the process, so we're not getting that micro. We need to get a partner. Because the partner is, we need to see what works for both of us. We need to see how we grow it, how we share capital expense, all that stuff. The actual micro of what the specific of what it looks like for the golf community, it's gonna happen probably with this first phase. What that looks like, we don't know yet.
But we still are going to be looking for an operator that has the capability.
Yes.
Being flexible to do
Yeah.
those things, and that is what we're really looking at.
It's a
Also,
huge change.
and also the operator has to have the vision that Rossmore has as far as, we don't want to have, I don't think that we want to go with a bunch of different vendors in here. We've tried that, we tried a thing at Gateway with somebody else in this, so we're thinking about the vendor would also be able to look into the future and say, okay, I'm gonna open up this, get it all running and everything, and then we can be doing this down here at Gateway, then we can do this at Hillside, so it's a process, but it would be better to have one vendor being able to do all of that than it is for us to have to deal with 3 or 4 different people for different things that are going on around Rossmore. Does that make sense? what I'm
And for
trying
a
to say?
business perspective, it
Yeah.
supports one operator.
So let's assume you get an operator.
Mhm.
And then you come to him, you say, okay, well, the golf community wants A, B, and C. And he said, no, like, I can do A and B, but I can't do C.
But this is, and again, we're jumping way ahead of what this next scope is.
Yeah.
The next scope is to RFP to get someone in. The exciting thing is that as an operating partner, they're gonna do that. So what they're gonna understand is what are the desires? Because they have to tell you, no, we can't do everything because it has to work from a business perspective. But what we do has to check off your boxes. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it becomes a conversation. It becomes collaborative, which isn't kind of the model.
when I did this, when I had my restaurants, I did the same thing, only I did it on my own. I didn't have a marketing company that would look at all the stuff for me and do all the analyzing and everything. I had to look at a location, then I had to do research, and I had to go out to the communities, and I had to see what's going on and what are the needs and what are the stuff. It was a big deal to open restaurants. So this is gonna be kind of done in a package form where they'll be able to say, okay, here's what we got going on, and here's a vision, and here's what you need to look to the future, and will you be able to satisfy the needs in the future? And so then that's where we're going. When I say future, I'm looking at the total build out of what's going on and everything that encompasses, because a lot of people said they want a bar. That they can, that would have small plates but they could handle a large number of people that could get around and just hang out in the evening or something. So there was a lot of things that came in. So we got to look at the whole picture and find the person that can do that.
If I may, when you mentioned partnership, you're not suggesting that this, it would be an investment partner. Simply a partner in terms of operations.
We don't know what it looks like. So again,
Your thoughts, I'm just thinking, I mean, when you say we may have to do this, that, and the other thing, personally, I can't imagine GRF sitting back and saying, yes, we're gonna dismantle the entire Creekside building in order to expand the kitchen, in order to expand the bar and relocate the golf shop. I mean, that's a big thing. That's the future.
no, like partnership agreements, they can be structured in many different ways. Ideally, what we want to do is say, like, let's say that we do have the capital outlay. It could be like the payment structure, the way we have, whatever the revenue structure is. Or it could be they do the capital outlay and there's like that, whatever the there's fee relief first time. Like the burden can be carried on either side, but you want to build this as a partnership. And again, there are many different ways to do that. We're going through the process of what probably will work best for what financially our experts believe the yield will be.
So
And so there's lots of that technical stuff that has to happen so that we're not just building a bunch of kitchens, not knowing how they're going to be utilized, if they're going to turn the profit and whatnot. So that's why we need the partnership.
but the possibility would be that you would have an investment partner and then the payback would be dependent upon, what's the best solution to do that, whether it be profit sharing or piece of the action or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's an exciting point in the discussion.
Just as an aside, Mark, because I keep thinking about Encore's food and beverage. Was the structure next to the bathroom on 10 ever used for food?
The pavilion.
That little kiosk.
It's gone through a couple of iterations. At one time it had vending machines. The vending machines were constantly broken into and they were in bad condition. Oftentimes we were getting refunds out of the golf shop and then getting the money back later. It led to us kind of closing that down. Stan a couple times has tried a cart on the doors. For a variety of reasons, it did not work. That's another discussion at another time, but so that was not popular at that time. But I'm not saying it couldn't be something that could be looked at again, because I think there's several reasons why it might work.
There was never a person there serving out drinks and.
No, there's never been a vendor down in that area.
And the clubs can't do it themselves.
Clubs?
Could the men's club decide to put a hot dog machine there
Oh, I don't think you'd wanna go
and serve food to the passerbys?
Coola's Italian sausage. You and I would stop. I'm gonna kick him out boil water.
You're the sausage kind of.
I know. I was already starting to think about it.
Seriously speaking, internally, it's not permitted. Is that my understanding? In other words, some of the clubs who
A
want,
food concession.
to create
I think they do food concessions when you do a tournament. Don't they do it sometimes on a hole? Somebody will sponsor something like that?
yeah, that's an.
Oh, yeah, that's a totally different.
I know, but I don't think that it's done where somebody has a fixed,
Because it would have to fit into like with health and.
yeah.
Yeah.
for food prep facilities and all that kind of stuff.
Saying it would.
Permitting process would kill you.
Yeah.
So
Got that down.
What do you want from us right now?
I'm informing you about what is coming up. I would like you to start thinking about it. And because it is gonna be on the topics and it's moving quickly, because we're, with many things that we do, the bridge project, the pond project, we don't have a deadline of when that has to be done. So consequently, things kind of run. This has kind of a headline to it. So things are gonna move quickly with this. Like I said, we were gonna start putting out the RFP for someone to bid on somewhere in June to July, somewhere right in there that it's probably gonna go out, and that is why that's quick, and then they will find the person, whoever that's gonna be, and then implementation by the end of the year.
So wouldn't it be beneficial if we went back to our clubs and say, by the way,
So,
Yes.
no,
Don't you
this,
think?
no.
No?
So I really, really wanna try to explain what the scope of this is and the work that we've done so far. So for instance, we know through all the surveying, and if you looked at all the different models in there were a bunch of explicit things just for golf and they even address things with catering needs. Want to say something and then everybody just let it go. Alcohol service, all these different things, right? They did such a thorough thing. So they have a really good landscape. And so we don't need to do a whole nother thing to rebuild it. So it's really starting with the concept, and then it's like, hey, how close is this? And work around that. So we need to let the process really unfold where they're going to go to, and it's a committee that's going to talk about, okay, yes, this is the concept that we want to put in the RFP for that initial partnership with. Once the person is on board and then we start delivery and building out, there'll be room for more input. But we're not going to do like it's like not so much another survey. We won't know what that process looks like until we get there. The issue, or not the issue, the exciting point that we're at is the first area that's going to be touched is Creekside. Because it's the most logical one, because it has the appropriate type of food production facility. It's the only one that we have.
I guess I'm confused because we seem to be mixing apples and oranges in some ways here. In my experience anyway, when you put out a request proposal, you're getting more than a request for operational proposal. You're getting a request that's gonna cost whoever it is, they're gonna, bid on something, money.
It's not a bid.
This is not,
It's
your
a
proposal
proposal.
is not a bid. It's just a recommendation of this is how we intend to operate. And then you guys.
Yeah, it's not a bid. You don't say, here's this, what is your fixed price for this? Right? It's talking about this is the desire. So basically, people are going to give us different business plans
Right.
on how they would want to proceed. We will talk about acceptable structures that would be acceptable in this. And so that's what,
So our input to
so
that,
it's much different than, it's not a bid. It's not how
like
much are you two groups going to charge?
so our input to this whole process would be after the fact to work
We
with,
have our operator.
work with that operator and suggest we would like to have
Yes.
on course, we would like to have this
Yes.
and so on. How do you fit it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're
And the
being,
operator will know that, like, part of their role there will have to be like some type of, like stakeholder weigh-in, stakeholder feedback and whatnot.
and part of that whole interview process is finding a person who is open to ideas of what the community wants. And because it's going to be, it is, and that's what we're going to be looking at. So,
Just bear in mind,
Okay.
being there so many times in the past when you think you have it nailed down and then the operator after the fact says, oh, I never intended to do that. I'm not going to operate under these conditions, or I'm going to do something else that's going to wind up costing so much more money. So, I mean, to try to nail down as much as you can ahead of
Absolutely.
time in your proposal request is important. And I think maybe this discussion is helping you to.
Yeah.
to
So concurrent,
those things.
Concurrent with the proposal is the development of an operating agreement to do just that.
Okay, Ted, any more?
I have a
Ted?
question. On that, you mentioned Stan is involved in this process. Has he expressed interest in being part?
Yeah, Jeff and I met with them. We explained to him what we're doing, what the process is. And he even realized it's different than the because, he's had a lot of ideas and whatnot, but for him to do all the investments, so he understands there's a different benefit when you do this operating agreement, so he understands where we're going. He took a couple of days to think about it, and then he emailed us, and I think his hip replacement has
I
given.
have one awful long question to answer, Ted. Ted, you talked about one person doing the whole Rossmore. Where are they gonna unload their food trucks? Out here? You guys are on really thin ice now that nobody's got hit when they got two trucks out here unloading and somebody's trying to take golf carts across that street. Somebody's gonna get hit. And you've been told that 5 years ago when Pat was president, we sent you a letter. So if you're gonna get him taking care of all this and these trucks out here all day unloading, your odds are gonna go way through the sky. You're gonna hurt somebody.
Not all the unloading will be in one spot. When they have different locations, you have different delivery points. So it's not unloaded all in one spot and then, if there's, and that is very far down the line. But I don't, that is, yesterday, that's my dog path. And I see people unloading their cars and leaving them there and taking their golf bags and going in and taking up that spot so that the trucks have to go closer to the drive. That's a very, very long deal. So it's part of it is policing the people who are using the golf course because they're not allowing the trucks to be able to get far enough down to where they have to be because there was two cars there and another car was pulling in behind it because, monkey see, monkey do. They all say, oh, we can park here. And they're leaving their cars there to go play golf. So that is probably a bigger issue than the trucks because the trucks can pull up far enough to give us view if we can.
We used to call Securitas to come out and leave a note.
Securitas
And now they're
has
saying
no authority on
too
it.
busy, they say.
They have no authority on that.
So there's nothing we're really gonna do. We can do.
It's the Walnut Creek Police Department who has authority, not Securitas.
They're gonna come out here with the traffic cart.
They don't come out for speeders.
Hard to get them out here for a wreck.
There's no way to do it. Other than revamping the entire street area and then tree area, and that's a big project. Right now, you cannot get those trucks to move forward, regardless of their cars that are not. Some do, many don't.
Okay, I think we're moving off.
No, it's an issue that, it's part of what we're looking at. An operator has to understand that there are delivery issues that he has to abide by. That's it.
That is, so being in that business for a long time and on both sides of it, that is something that could be dealt with if it's dealt correctly, and that is dealing with the vendor. But when the vendor is different all the time, it's hard to do that. If you have the same vendor all the time, you can stipulate where they park. I have done that in my restaurants, where the truck can park to be able to deliver things. So that can be dealt with. If it's dealt with the same vendor all the time.
You've got the same vendor. You've
You're
got Stan.
You're wrong, Pat. It's not the same vendor, different trucks all the time
No, they're different suppliers.
for the same products. I don't want to, we can get into
I
this
think-
another time, but I'm saying I know how to fix that problem. But we got to go the right way.
All right, let's time
It's an
out.
issue for the
All right.
future.
Pat.
That's all.
Yeah.
Pat, please.
Let me finish my thought.
Moving on. Pretty much covered it. Let's move on. All right, let's go to club reports. Robin, please. And could please give me the updated membership March now, so each club should have that.
Well, ours is kind of interesting here. We had our board meeting on Monday. And I was given a number of 123 to 125. And with a couple of members who've joined but really don't plan on playing, so I don't quite understand that one. So I'm giving 125. Since we didn't have a meeting in February, our lunch party was on the 6th of February. There were 63 attended. Seemed kind of low to me. Unfortunately, I wasn't there either, but got kicked off the season. They're talking about maybe doing a little later, closer to the beginning of play date for next year. So it seemed like there's some distance between it. At the board meeting, I don't know, Ted or anybody else, are they, that's what I'm looking for. They're trying to use AI to help with the taking of the minutes in the meeting. And I understand it's a free app. And they've tried this now the last couple of meetings, but anyway, it's just in a trial. period.
The
AI.
18 is a
They're
time.
using AI, some kind of, yeah, I don't have no idea what it is. But I thought it was interesting, they mentioned that, I mean, our technology today. We had a hole-in-one a couple weeks ago, Carla Witt on number 10. She got $100. And Joyce reported that the first rule class was full, and they do that on Creekside and even had a waiting list for it. So that's becoming quite successful. So I think that's all I have to report. I have a couple of questions when we get around to the other directors.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
Okay, we have 156, which is about 10 less than last year, but we'll probably get more. So this year, members used Golf Genius to sign up with membership, and about 80% of our members did that. And we had our play day first play day, March 6th, and it was the Rainbow Scramble, and it was followed by the first general meeting. And the play days are planned till the end of the year, and we have 14 individual and 14 team events. And people said they wanted more team events, and then other people said we want more individual events, and so that was the way they did it, down the middle.
Good. Okay, thanks. Pat?
Thank you.
Thank you. The men's club currently has 291 active members plus 3 golf shop professionals, so that's 294 in total. Those numbers include 18 resident guests. Club has begun its 2025 golf season of events with a 4-man scramble held on March 5th and will be followed up by the Masters tournament in April. The Players Tournament that we intended to have on March 12th was canceled due to weather. We held an all clubs party at the event center on March 10th, where each club was invited to attend an evening of food and drink and to participate in some games. There were 114 members that attended that party. The twilight events will be beginning on April 11th, and signups will begin on March 24th. Costs for golf and dinner will be $45 and $35 for dinner only. 8 RMGC members participated in the 2025 NCGA North East Bay Zone. The event here in Rossmore. The top 4 players were Greg Gould and Brad Smith, and then John Schaefer and Tom Stimson. They'll move on to the senior qualifier playing event to be played in Poppy Hills on April 7th, or the Del Monte course in Monterey on April 8th. And then on March 29th, the senior net qualifier play-in event will be held on the Dollar Ranch course. This event is open to all RMGC and 18er members, and the top 2 men and the top 2 women will advance to the selected sites in May and June. So that's coming up.
Good, thank you. Kurt?
Excuse me, I have a question for Pat, if I may. This came up at our board meeting, and apparently they had some overage of funds at the end of the year. They were talking about what might be done with them. And I mentioned that, I think you told me that the men had donated to, was it the Rossmore Fund or at the end of the year?
Both the Rossmore Fund as well as the Scholarship Fund.
And Scholarship Fund, yeah. And yeah, they thought that was a good idea and they're gonna review it, and we have a new treasurer, but yeah. And there's something in our bylaws that says everything that goes in has to be returned, but anyway, it's under. I don't know, the men have that too, but you know.
Way of returning it to the community.
Well, that's right. Okay, no, they were very receptive of that, so I just wanted to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Happy Hackers is, membership is at 121. And we have our first, event of the year, which is a scramble tomorrow on, Creekside in, I think we're full. think we got full signups for it, and then we do have a social tomorrow with that in the evening, and, that one, still only have 37 signups, so our socials are still undergoing some scrutiny and work, so we only have 3 this year, so we're gonna be experimenting with different types of socials for the year. So then, the other thing was right on my head. Should have written it down. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, very good. All right, Mark?
Okay, so turning to the golf management report, we still don't have financials at this point. Hopefully next month we'll catch up with that. I kind of explained why here on that stands. I don't think I need to go over that again. We have been extremely busy. When the weather's good, they come out. I was just telling Ted at the beginning of the meeting, we had 360 players on Friday. We've had a lot of days where we're over 300 players. Golf is just as or more popular than it has been ever before. We are getting a lot of people either just joining the events, or maybe they're just coming down to play or learn, or outside guests coming in. People are bringing their guests in to play. It's just very popular. And that's good news. Helps certainly the bottom line. The downside is my second point, which is we have run out of carts already a couple of times. Pretty early in the year to do that. I foresee that we're probably going to do it some more. We do our very best. Believe me, we're watching where we are on the play sheet and getting ready. So when those carts come in, we can clean them and turn them right back around. But it's going to be something we have to try and work through this year, because right now I really don't have room for an expanded fleet. So we'll just have to see what goes with that as we keep working through the year. The golf shop, we're getting all new stuff in. We have a lot of stuff that already has come in, many more items to come in. I'm getting ready for the spring fling fashion show, which is in 2 weeks. So a lot of merchandise comes in for that. I actually run the fashion show where the 18ers and 9ers, this is, I don't know how many years we've been doing it, a long time, but I get them to be on my models. I've got stuff boxed up, ready to go, and we'll bring it out for that event and have some special sales that day, etc. Just to remember, as I mentioned here, and actually I have an article coming out too, just remember the golf shop, we try and keep it in good shape, try and keep a lot of merchandise in there, and it really is your golf shop, or your shop in general. So make sure when you're thinking about purchasing and tell your friends, hey, come to the golf shop and purchase stuff, because this is how we keep it going. If sales drift off, we don't sell stuff. It's real simple. We don't carry stuff. And we don't want to be in that situation. We want to keep it vital and moving, and turnover is important. So that's a big part of my job, is to make sure that that shop is successful. Just got back not too long ago by taking a group to Puerto Vallarta. A couple of my mates here played one day, Pat and Bert, we played. We had a good time. I did. But it was a fun time. I think everybody enjoyed the trip, and
Mark, how many were on the trip?
150.
150. Okay.
Yeah, 150
Thanks.
trip.
Was
And
great, by the way.
we're really looking forward to possibly doing it next year. As all the club members have said here, tournament season is in full. We're just, get on the gas pedal, aren't we, right now? There's a lot going on every week, a lot of events, and it's keeping us busy, keeping things going. And we have our first outside event on April 21st. That'll be the traditional high school championship, where we have probably 26 high schools this year competing for a championship. We've done this for many years, and looking forward to that happening.
Is that more?
That is the 21st of April. It's a Monday. They come in with their teams. There's 6 members per team and 26 high schools, and they play that day for a trophy, and being able to say they won that championship. So it's always a big deal, and kind of a neat way to kick off our year as far as outside. And then after that, we have 2 to 3 Monday events per month all the way through October. So we'll be busy even on Mondays. Some of you may have mentioned or seen that the range machine has had some hiccups. I've been working on that. I'm hoping that we're solving that problem. I've even had to do some work myself inside the machine with the guidance of the people from the company. But I keep looking at that and we may have to do some additional work to that. We'll see if we may have to get a new panel on the inside of it. If I don't get that corrected, we will be putting all new range balls in that machine as soon as this rain stops. I have enough to just completely change out the whole inventory. So we'll have brand new golf balls certainly by April 1st. Clinic schedule will be coming out soon. We always do clinics in the spring. I'll have that out in a couple of weeks. One of the things people asked me at the last meeting, Pat, this might have been you, is maybe getting rear view mirrors for the rentals was a question. I've gone to Yamaha, really haven't gotten a clear answer yet. It's not something they usually put depending on my high school kids to do it. We haven't had too much damage so far, and I don't mean for the high school kids, but as far as the carts, we did have one side swipe that dented one. We had a couple of run-ins with curbs. But other than that, the fleet is in good shape. But getting this project done will be really good. I proposed it. We got the new fleet. It looks like we might do it next month, where we'll have striping on there, which will really help the parking and clean up that situation in there, which I'm looking forward to. So on the golf management side, that's all I could think of at this time. Any questions before I go to superintendent?
Has the striping been done on the dollar course, on the pass,
Yes,
on the pass?
yes.
Okay, I was
Both
playing the other
courses
day,
are
but I
done.
couldn't tell whether they'd been done or not.
Both courses are done. Although to be
Yeah.
honest with you, as Blake and I looked at it, there is some wear already. We may have done it a little too early in the cold. You know, you have to do it a certain time of year. And it was a little cold and some of it is coming off. But I mean, we're done.
I was
We've done what we
surprised,
could do.
because-
We're gonna.
yeah, I was
yeah.
surprised because you said you were waiting till after the weather.
Well, we
This
had
was
that break because the
unexpected,
weather
right?
was good.
Yeah,
The
right.
weather was good. And-
Okay, good, thank you.
You kind of have to do it when your staff's available too. And right now,
That's true.
the staff is doing a lot more, which I'll talk about in his report. But yeah, we got that project done. We've also put Kirby markers in on the front nine of Dollar, which is in Blake's report. And we're gonna extend that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Three quick little things, if I may. Golf cart, you mentioned the golf cart going there where you're going to be striping. I think I mentioned this years ago to you when you said, maybe a good idea, maybe not. But anyway, it never happened. Thought of making money for the golf shop, so to speak, would have some of the high school kids doing some car washing there for the members. I can bring my cart up there and wash it all down and not have to sneak with the hose and get around it. So, you know, you can charge whatever you want to charge to do that. I think it's a great amenity. So some of those times, especially when we come in some of these days when there's mud all everywhere. So that may be something we can look into.
Mhm.
The other thing I just wanted to mention too, that the golf shop, as far as I'm concerned, sometimes you go in there and you say, oh my God, look at the cost of that shirt or something like that. The golf shop here in Rossmore is very reasonable, considered what I experienced anyway in Mexico. You think the pesos.
Want to talk about your dozen balls you bought that?
I'm not going to mention it in particular. However, we did pick up some shirts, especially in Aguera. Shirts were marked up like, $50 at least more
Oh,
than
wow.
the first year. And that's in dollars, not in pesos. So you would think that Mexican peso would bring things down, but
I saw you coming.
Yeah.
they saw us coming for sure. They saw me coming and I was so stupid.
I saw one lady's shirt at like $92.
What did she buy?
I saw one shirt price.
Oh, one shirt.
$90.
Oh, yeah, I said,
Yeah.
they were well.
I wanted to buy it, but we ran out of time, so.
A lot of these.
See your little cash.
And then a suggestion too, I don't know where to go with this, but in the future, if we want to put something on an agenda for upgrades to the golf course, it's gonna cost money, obviously, but it's something to look into. I think our bathrooms on the golf course need to be looked at. The one on 17 or 16 anyway is fairly new, considering it could be cleaned more often, material wise is kind of dealt with. Nonetheless, it's okay. And then you've got the one at the 10 in the pavilion there that's sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired, but the real one that has a problem is behind first hole and the tee box at number 7. That's embarrassment as far as I'm concerned. It's a concrete bunker. And it smells, it's dirty. There are times that it's lacking paper, all of the above. That's something that needs to be upgraded sometime in the future. So why don't we put them on a list of things to do?
So we start putting the because that would be the capital thing. So we really start putting that together pretty soon, June, July.
Good.
June, July. So and then we just get the list together and it starts getting sorted out through planning. It usually starts in October. We actually start talking about the list. So
So,
what I would say is come up with those things and we'll.
yeah, just Pat, reminder, we went through that bathroom 3 years ago, put in brand new toilets, brand new mirrors, brand new sink, redid the sides of it. I'm not questioning what you're saying. I mean, it's at best a campsite type, bathroom. It is.
That's being kind.
Yeah,
Was it affordable or built
some
on
of the
site?
things,
Was it affordable or built on site?
no, it's built on site, but it's like a campground type of thing. And they looked at spending more money at the time, but they settled on doing all those amenities and things. Now, some of them are okay. Some of the stuff you talk about is more custodial, like cleaning, and that can be dealt with in a different way. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of at that time putting putting a lipstick on a pig, but we did do that it was only 3 years ago. We did all that work and it was pretty substantial at that time, but that was 3 years ago too. A lot happens in 3 years.
Yeah, I don't
Clean
think it's being
stuff.
done 3
That's
years.
custodial staff. Yeah. Yeah. Your other point, Pat, just so you know, on the clean the carts deal, when my kids come in the evenings, they are consumed. I usually have 2, sometimes just 1, with getting the balls off the range, cleaning them, just getting ready for the next day. I did have a young man, very industrious. He's still on my staff, came to me with a business card that said he would do some carts. Wonder if you could set up a little business. I said, well, through me, you could.
Mhm.
Not yourself. That wouldn't work. Can't have your own business inside Rossmore, but I like your go to it. I applaud that. I'm all for it. Give me a business plan. How much do you need to make? We'll take a portion and we'll do that. That was 3 months ago. He hasn't gotten back to me. The thing is, a high school kid has to be willing to come here and do that as an extra.
It's money in his pocket.
Yeah,
I mean,
but,
you could-
but there's other things they like to do.
Okay.
So it's hard to find that kid, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't really, yeah. So
But if we did.
I applauded his thought, but you gotta have the vision to go through that tape rather than just announce it. So,
Your new card doesn't need that.
So my job.
but right now I just don't have the manpower.
No, I'm not suggesting take it away from what you're doing.
I know.
I'm just saying if you did find somebody that's willing to do that, it'd be a great amount.
She thought I had somebody there, but it didn't
somebody, but it didn't
quite up the phone.
But I live here. I can't.
If anything comes along, I'll let you know. Cause it would be nice.
I'll do it for 15 cents a piece. How's that?
Are you gonna do that while you're grilling your sausages at 10? No, but I would, somebody who could do that if I had a high school kid. Maybe it'll happen at some.
Yeah.
On the superintendent report, we received, some rain. Actually, we got pretty dry up until this last rain. It was starting to get, pretty tough out there as far as, the ground was hardening up and stuff like that. But this latest rain is actually a good thing as long as we don't get, I think we all agree, too much. It's nice that last night it kind of rained and, that was the bulk of it. So maybe we'll get some breaks here this weekend. But we do hope we get a little bit more rain because that will certainly help our season. The breaks in the weather have helped us do some aerification. At this point, we've done all the tees on both golf courses. We've done all the surrounds around the tees. We've also done some of the aprons and stuff around the golf course. Next thing will be fairways, depending on whether we really want to get to this, because the last 2 years with the weather pattern, we weren't able to do fairways and roughs. We're due. We need to get this done. This is something, it's a necessary evil because anybody who's gone through that knows that when you walk out there, then when you come in, you have clods of dirt on the bottom of your shoes. It can be rather messy while we're doing that at times in the fairways. But the idea is to go ahead and core the fairways and the roughs and then sweep it and break them up with a mower we'll see how weather treats us over the next 3 weeks or so, because after that, then we do the greens. The greens are absolutely necessary. So that will happen the first 2 weeks for the 18 hole in April, and then the last Monday in April is when we'll do the 9 hole golf course. So we mentioned here the striping on the cart path, that is pretty much done for this year, and some of the Kirby markers. Some of the things were talked about in this previous meetings, just so you know, I do listen. We have new scorecard holders coming. This will be different. Instead of the lid moving up, it'll be a drawer that pulls out. So we should have permanent water protection on these, but these are on order and will be coming pretty soon. I'll just pass that around. You see that? Those will be coming in pretty soon.
Will they be located in the same spots?
Same places, yeah, same places. We'll put them on the second tee of both golf courses. That seems the most logical place. People get on the first hole and go, forgot my scorecard, and they have number 2. There's also, this came through a marshal's meeting, but I think everyone realizes this too, the safety hazard. A service path sign has been placed at the entrance to number 8T, directing people to go up and around to the top of the T on 8 rather than taking the shortcut in the service road. So that has been put in place also. And we are repairing some of the, this time of year, we repair some of the decomposed granite paths around the golf, but they take a beating during the winter. So we're doing some work on those also. So those are the things that are in the superintendent's report. Is there anything else there? Any questions? Yes.
Was the search for the assistant?
I was gonna bring that up. So, you know, we got a couple of hits. Neither one we felt, well, actually, we got a lot of hits, but many of them were just absolutely a no. We got a couple that were maybe. We are increasing the amount for the position to see if we can maybe snag some more interest. So we're doing that currently and changing that up. It's being listed in 2 places. The only place we're really going to get the right person is probably through the golf superintendent's website, because that gets checked all the time, and we're looking for that person. This is not a role of someone who is interested in mowing lawns and happens to work at the neighbors. This is somebody who's got to really want to have knowledge and has some knowledge and experience already in a golf course. So we'll keep working on that. But the latest news is we are increasing the money for that position, because that's the only way we're going to get somebody.
Yeah.
Mark, one small thing. A while ago, I requested that the grass around the practice area be cut more like what's happening on the golf course, and that was done. Thank you. But now they come back to me and said, well, it's a little too high. Down a little bit short. And it's worth 2 donuts to me if they do it. So.
Well, there you go. Are these jelly filled? Are they jelly filled? I was like,
Anyway,
okay.
just cut it down a little bit shorter, would be
Okay.
great. Also, I'm noticing on Dollar, the grass areas, I mean, you know, you got the main cut, and then you got your first, second, third cuts. Getting pretty thick on the outsides there. Is that intended to make?
No, it's just mowing patterns due to weather conditions and mowers available. We have had a couple mowers down, so it probably is more that than anything else. The idea is to get it, you know, whacked down as we get farther
I
in.
don't have a hard time just getting off the fairway, getting into those roughs.
Yeah.
Forget it, I'm dead.
Don't go in.
I don't go.
Yeah, play in the fairway, it's much easier.
Exactly.
That's what everyone's
They're
told.
for.
It's like, don't go in the sandball. Yeah.
Okay.
I have to agree with Pat.
Yeah.
In the garden, we have a weather, we can do, it's a weather underground, and it tells us all the weather. Is there any way to connect this weather on the golf course? So you kind of see how should I dress, what is it looking like, anything like that? That we can do that?
Blake is the one that has the monitor on the golf course. I don't know that you can access that. I'll ask him.
Because I mean, I got a lot of them for a lot of different areas around, but the garden, like, I want to know what's happening in the garden. The garden got a half an inch of rain last night, by the way, Court. So you kind of can,
Yeah,
you can kind of see that ahead of time when you're going out, that how much, especially in this time of season, it's good to know if you're gonna, if it's really rainy, you know, it's cart path only. It's, you know, you kind of know before you get the email.
yeah.
The weather we're getting. So it just kind of lets you know a heads up about how to dress, what to do.
I'll have that information for you.
Okay,
I'll let you know.
because I have it on an app on my phone and you can call it.
I'm lazy, I just go play. What's going on? What's the temperature? Yeah, I do.
Rich,
I have one more question for Margaret, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
This all came out of the board meeting on Monday. How many employees are there on the golf course, the worker bees? Well,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Well, somebody said 8. I said, I think it's 12 and 13, so it's 12. All right, thank you very much.
Is that 12 employees or how many working at any one time because of days off and stuff?
Well, that's our total employees. We have Blake
And
and
I think
12
the 8
employees.
number is what is about what you run in a daily, right? Or
It
something
could
like that?
be, yeah. We have a couple of people out right now,
Yeah.
so, I mean, just out. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Rich, do you have anything? No. I'm unaware of any unfinished business, new business.
I will say
Yes,
one thing, and that is, we didn't meet last month.
right.
I'm still not clear why. But I still think, I think we should meet each month.
That would be Ms. Rose. Who told me when I knew we weren't going to meet, I knew we weren't going to be available for the GRF meeting.
hmm,
And I said, well, we still want to have a regular meeting. She said, no, that's highly unusual. And whatever.
I think between you and I and everybody, I think we should meet whenever we can, because the information that is shared here, even if it's not like we don't have pressing business, it's good to hear these reports, questions answered, things like that. I just, think it's important.
I would agree.
Next month, did everybody get the notice that is the following week? I am so sorry about that, but as Ann knows, the senior staff was having a very difficult time finding a senior staff meeting time. And so, yeah, for May, so we had to move our meeting because that was really all that was left, was that Friday. So we're gonna have to go a week later in our next month's meeting. I think it's the 16th.
May.
May.
Yeah.
May,
Yeah. not-
May.
sorry, April, May, yeah. Sorry, not April, May. Yes, 2 months.
It's not because you're visiting.
No.
Okay, I think we are adjourned. The next meeting will be April 11th.
Yeah.
The 11th
And
in this room.
16th, yeah.
April 11th in this room. All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.